What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some r/mi, the butthole. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along a timeline below, but if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too. As always, I can never express the difference you make to the channel when you do these things. It really makes a huge difference, so thank you so much, and let's crack on with today's stories. Much love, guys. This story is from Throw a Dinner 3455. Am I the arsehole for refusing to apologise for throwing away my dinner instead of letting my fiancé have it? I, female 22, have been with my fiancé, male 20, for 2 years and recently got engaged. I handle cooking while he takes care of the other stuff, including rent and utility. He's been eating a lot lately. I started cooking in large pots and buying extra ingredients. He usually tells me what he'd like to eat for dinner. Note, I only cook dinner 3 times a week. Other than that, we have plenty of leftovers, so onto the situation. Last night I cooked dinner early because he wanted to eat early. I prepare his plate and put my plate in the fridge, ready to reheat for later. I was finished with studying and took a shower, then went into the kitchen to reheat my dinner, and sat at the table by myself and began eating. My fiancé came out of the bedroom saying he smelled the food while he was inside playing video games, and thought of joining me because he was hungry. Without even asking, he put his hand on my plate, wanting to eat from it. I stopped him and told him he was being selfish as he already had his, a larger portion of what cooked, dinner, and the food on my plate was barely enough for me. He complained about being hungry from playing video games. I told him I was hungry because of studying. He made a face and went to grab a spoon so we could eat together. I pulled my plate away and pointed at the fridge, telling there were some leftovers in the fridge, and he could go ahead and reheat some if he was so hungry. He refused and insisted to share my dinner. I stood my ground and didn't let him. He got all pissed, threw a spoon in the sink, and spit in my plate. I was 100% taken by surprise and was so livid and disgusted. I shouted, "What the fuck did he just do?" He just smirked at me, telling me to enjoy as he walked out. I called him fucking childish, and he turned around and walked back in saying I was the one acting like a high school bully for refusing to let him share my dinner and tell him to just have leftovers. I said he was being selfish and petty to spit in my plate to stop me from eating, and he managed to do it. I was so upset I couldn't eat what was in my plate. It was gross and disgusting. I threw it in the garbage can, and he threw another fit asking why I threw away perfect food, and he was counting on me giving it to him after he spit on it. We had a major fight, probably the biggest fight we've ever had thus far. He says I was wrong. I escalated and wants me to apologise first so he could put this past us, and I said there's no way I'd apologise after he ruined my dinner and disregarded the time and effect I made to prepare dinner. Now, for some reason, I came into this one thinking it was going to be like a petty one or something like that, but what the fuck? He spit in your plate? That's as us Redditors say, that's a huge red flag, and many of them right there. And the fact that he smirked and grinned at you afterwards, I don't think I could be with someone who'd done that. Spit in your plate, that's, nah, I'm out. But Carl Droghook says, not the arsehole, and I sincerely hope that you've already broken up with this man. Do not tie your life to his. And Ursula replies to this saying, with red flags, he dropped about 500 of these. Not the arsehole OP, but you could drive a 52 bomber through your boyfriend's arsehole, it's so big. He spit in your food that you were eating because he is an angry little man. Do not let anyone disrespect you like that, it will only get worse. And Avocado Bounty replies to that one saying this isn't a red flag at all. Red flags are alarming, potentially suspicious behaviour that indicates someone might be abusive. Then says this is straight up abusive, not the arsehole, and for the love of God, don't marry this dude. And Mehmet Pepita says, oh, you need to unload that baggage like yesterday, he is childish and abusive, not the arsehole. And Seeker replies to this one saying, hungry from playing video games, abusive when OP won't go hungry because he's too lazy to work the microwave on his own. Her dinner was already left over from earlier when he had his fresh dinner. This man will just get worse. And Amara Love 123 says, not the arsehole, please don't marry him. He spit in your plate. Seriously, what the fuck? He tried to manipulate you into having his way, and he clearly has no regards for you or your feelings. That's a whole lot of red flags there. And Sweeper 1985 says, not the arsehole, but you'd be foolish to marry this boy. This is a person who will destroy something of yours in order to then steal it from you. And one more from Certain Thing 5082 saying, Dear one, is this the life you want for yourself? You deserve a partner who saves food for you. You deserve a partner who saves the bigger portion for you, even if they are larger. You deserve a partner who listens to your no the first time, rather than trying to steamroll you again and again and again. Yes, even over something as small as food. You deserve a partner who would never, ever, ever deliberately ruin something for you out of spite. You deserve a partner who is able to reflect on his actions sincerely, who wants to understand your perspective. My wish for you is that you know deeply in your core, beyond any shadow of a doubt, that you were not the arsehole. That your fiancé's actions were immature, spiteful, petty, bullying, mean and cruel. And that you come to see that you deserve far, far more than this. Once you see this, you can reflect on whether your fiancé is willing to do the work necessary to grow in these essential ways. Whether you think he's capable to grow, and whether you think he's capable of growing in a timeline that works for you. Now, what would you do if you was in this situation? And I hope many of you would just say you'd bail out of there, because that, it's just like the comments say, it's very, very abusive behavior. Let me know your thoughts and we'll move on to the next story. Now, before we get into our next story, I just want to give you a warning. It does mention miscarriages and, trouble getting pregnant and things like that. So I just wanted to give you that warning beforehand. And it comes from Kayla04. Am I the arsehole for kicking my sister out of my home after she told me it was karma that I can't have kids? I, female 22, have been trying to get pregnant for 7 years now and have been unsuccessful. Diagnosed with PCOS later in life, I've had 5 miscarriages that have taken a massive toll on my physical and mental health. It has left me feeling like a massive failure as my partner, male 36, desperately wants children and I'm unable to give him this. He never makes me feel badly about it, but I know he's upset. His parents are in ill health and they want grandchildren more than anything. Recently, I had a massive argument with my sister, female 34, after my last miscarriage. I was upset and asking her why this kept happening to me. She shrugged and said it was probably to do with the abortion I had when I was 19. Honestly, I was gobsmacked at how nonchalant she sounded. She knew there had been health reasons behind it and had been supportive at the time. I'd been so poorly that I needed an operation and had spent months recovering. Also, she knows how guilty I felt that I was unable to carry to full term. I asked her what she had meant and she said that our decisions always come back to haunt us and that I needed to understand that I brought it on myself. That some people just weren't meant to have children and it was God's way of telling us to stop. She wasn't being mean, just blunt, but my hormones were all over the place and I ended up kicking her out of my house and telling her not to contact me again. Soon after, I got loads of phone calls from my other sister, mum and dad, and even my sister's husband, basically saying I overreacted and was being an asshole, that I had to make things right and apologise. I refused and haven't spoken to any of them since. My partner doesn't want her back in our house anytime soon after what she said. Am I the asshole for agreeing with him over my family? For crying out loud, this makes me sick, after OP has gone through all this and there's just no empathy there, and that's one of the biggest things that really gets me in these stories. There's just a lack of empathy from one human to another to try and step into their shoes and know through all the struggles they've gone through in their life, and then to say something like karma is coming back to bite you. Who does that kind of... I'm getting hot on this one as well. So yeah, you're absolutely not the arsehole. I wouldn't want to be around someone as toxic as that either. If I had a partner and they came to me and said my family was saying this to them, yeah, I would disown that family just like that. That's absolutely evil thing to say to someone. And for your mum, dad and sister's husband to say that you were overreacting, have they really got the full story in this? That's what I wonder. Has sister gone back to them and told them the full story, exactly what she said to you? Because I can't see how anyone in their right mind would say that you need to make things right after what she said. I don't blame you for cutting contact if that is the case. Absolutely not the arsehole. And let's go to some comments to see what they say. Whew, boiling up here. And we'll start with Evocative Enigma saying, not the arsehole, you don't ever say something like that to someone. If she wasn't on the lease or paying rent at all, you have every right to kick her out. She's an adult, she can figure out her own living situation without having to room with people she thinks so lowly of. By the way, I am so sorry you're having difficulties. I wish you all the best in the future for a large, happy family. And Entertainment OK 6284 says, not the arsehole times 1000. She is evil and completely lacking empathy towards you. Don't apologise, don't take anything back and keep her out and anyone who takes her side. And Madison Green says, not the arsehole, and miscarriage is not something you should try and guilt a woman about. That's messed up. She was out of line. And Speed Blitz says, not the arsehole, our decisions come back to haunt us. Your sister probably going to regret what she said to you, and it's quite ironic she said those words when now her words are probably going to haunt her now too. Also, one thing that I've almost always noticed in a situation when someone has to kick someone else out because of how they acted. The family members who end up siding with the person who was kicked out seem to have excuses as to why they can't take the person in who was kicked out. It just seems odd to me that they suddenly all have excuses not to take in someone they defended so much, or may take them in begrudgingly after no one else wants to help. Also, once again, not the arsehole. What they say was really messed up. She should have continued to support you instead of saying such rude things. And Not Rapunzel says, not the arsehole, and quotes not being mean. Seriously, what could be more mean than what she said? Yikes. And we'll have one more from California Road Toad saying, not the arsehole, I've heard some sadistic crap before, but this was way over the top. Does your sister pull the wings off houseflies too? For that matter, why in the hell would anyone defend such cruel remarks, or even worse, minimize them saying that OP overreacted? Nice family there, OP. That they defend hateful sludge like this says a lot about them, and none of it good. It ain't karma, it's your medical issues which likely have zero to do with the procedure you had in the past. One for what I'd assume was a reason you discussed with a medical professional. Her woo-woo claims are hers and hers alone, and if your warped family thinks her comments were appropriate, maybe they all need to do without your presence. We've been through this ourselves in our house. Miscarriage is not a joke, and it absolutely should never be used against another like this. I'm sorry you're enduring this. I can only offer hope for your better days ahead, and we can all offer hope to OP in the end. Now, what are your thoughts on this? What would you do if put yourself into OP's shoes and you was in this situation and your sister and your family came at you with this? How would you deal with it? Whew, tearing up just thinking about it. And we'll move on to the next story. Our next story is from Sensitive Fun 99. Am I the arsehole? My classmate saved a goldfish by releasing them into the ocean. I called her a dumbass. My classmate recently made a TikTok and she showed a group of people at lunchtime it. They were next to our table, so I overheard the girl say, "Hey, look at my TikTok I made, come check it out." And in it she explains how she rescued a goldfish from the pet store and released them into the ocean so they can live free. I was horrified upon hearing this. I love fish and have several aquariums, so I'm fairly knowledgeable on them. I walk over and ask her to show me the video and I facepalmed. She asked me why and I said, "You realize you're actually a dumbass, right? This is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen." Her friend says, "Well, that's just rude. Why would you say that? Because she cares." To which I had to explain that goldfish are freshwater fish. They can't survive in the ocean because it's salt water, so all of those goldfish were dead in minutes. They basically choked to death as salt filled up their gills. Lastly, you never release animals into the wild. There are goldfish that are destroying our rivers and lakes because of dumbasses like her. They say that I'm a bully and walk away. I later get called into the principal's office, who told me I was expected to apologise, and I said no, I stand by what I said. Fuck ignorant people who destroy the environment. My parents were called over and I got sent home, and my parents are pissed I refuse to apologise. I might get suspended. And Sailor Doom says you are 100% right on both counts. That would have been a pretty awful death for the goldfish, and yeah, releasing captive bred animals into the wild usually either results in the animal dying or local flora and fauna suddenly having to compete with an invasive species. She meant well, but the stark reality check on your part was definitely warranted. And Sorry says, not the arsehole, but a different approach might be more effective. Ask questions. Did you know that goldfish are freshwater fish? Do you understand what happens to freshwater fish when they're released into saltwater? Lead her to her own dumbassery. And Judge Judd says, everyone sucks here. To quote the dude, you are not wrong, you're just an arsehole. Your classmate is a well-meaning idiot. You seem more interested in being superior than in getting her to stop causing damage. And Webby Vanderquack says, everyone sucks here, and then quotes, I stand by what I said. Then goes on to say, you need to learn how to say important things calmly and without insults. People are most likely to listen to you and less likely to accuse you of being a bully. And Novel Ad 7318 says, everyone sucks here, this. This is, oh my god. Okay, yeah, your classmate sucks here for not realising that her actions are less than intelligent and should inform herself about animals' needs before doing something like this. However, insulting someone over this out of nowhere isn't good behaviour on your side either. No one is going to listen to your reasons if you insult them. And we'll have one more from Sly Dog saying, everyone sucks here. Never lead with an insult, no matter how justifiable it is. Explaining facts without launching with the dumbass part might have given her pause to consider her actions in the future. Instead, you insulted her, which threw up a wall, and no matter how accurate your statement or her actions, no facts will get through. She sucks for all the obvious reasons, and the school too sucks if they're going to suspend you for not apologising while also not actually educating their students well enough to understand this sort of activism does more harm than good. Now, what do you guys think of this one? Who is the arsehole in the situation? Is it an everyone sucks here, or is OP not the arsehole for what they did? Let me know your thoughts and we'll move on to another story. And this next story comes from I Don't Have a Nombra. Am I the arsehole for not giving my son the money I saved for his college fund? My son is 18 and graduating high school. I started saving a fund for him the day he was born. I always put a little bit in every week, as I do my other kids as well. Over the 18 years, I saved enough for him to go to college debt-free. He's always been bright and a hard worker. He ended up getting a full ride to his dream school. We're insanely proud of him. All was going well and he was happy and ready to accept until I mentioned that I would be able to use the money I saved for him on fixing up our home and putting the rest towards his siblings' funds. He got very upset at that and began to demand the money. I was caught off guard. I never expected him to react this way. Over the past week, he has been throwing tantrums, threatening to withdraw from his dream school and attend somewhere else. Last night he came home and immediately started yelling at his little sister. He grabbed the plate of food she was eating and threw it across the kitchen. She ran to me crying. He came into the room and when he saw me holding her, he said, "Yeah, hold your favourite child and ignore me, you bitch." He left soon after and I haven't heard from him since. He ignores my calls and texts. My husband is furious and says that my son needs to move out immediately. I asked a couple of family members and they said that I am at fault because I promised him the money and now I'm keeping it. I just don't know what to do. I'm scared that he will reject his full ride and attend a different school and go into debt and then demand the money. I've also never seen him so angry or call me a bitch. I'm crying right now because my husband is pissed at me and him and I have no idea where my son is or what he's doing. Am I the arsehole for not giving him the money? Should I just give it to him? And we're going to start with Blackbird6 on this one saying, you're the arsehole, you saved that money for your son. Your son worked his arse off and got in on a full ride, but he actually lost his college fund. So his high achievements changed nothing about his own situation, and you're the one that benefits from them. If you're proud of him, you don't take money away from him when he succeeds. I'm sure he feels like he got punished for being bright and getting a scholarship. That's essentially the message you sent. You're the one that gets paid when he does well. Edit, I just want to be clear here that I don't think giving him the money right now is the way to go, but it is so rare to have your parents save that kind of money for you these days. I can only look back at my life at 18, 20 and 22 and think how much of a difference that kind of money could have made in getting started. He may want to take an internship and need some cash to support himself, and he may want to go to graduate school, or he may want to buy a house. I think those are worthwhile uses of that money if it was truly intended for your son. And Arizanio says, everyone sucks here. You make a promise to a child, so that child works hard on the understanding that you'll fulfill the promise. In doing so, they get a full ride to college. Great. But instead of saying you'll use some of the money to help him get through college for things not covered by the scholarship like his phone and car insurance, etc., and keep the rest of it for if he wants to go to grad school or if he changes his mind on his course, you take away the college fund safety net you promised him for years. I don't know why you expected your hardworking child to feel grateful to you for punishing him for his hard work, especially if you told him that he'd be debt-free after his college education. He's an arsehole for the violent reaction, but that overreaction makes me wonder what else you've been doing to make your son feel like he's playing second fiddle to his sister. That resentment does not come out of nowhere. And Afterladder2929 says, arsehole, I can't believe I'm bothering to create a username and comment. Posts like yours make me so upset even though I'm 30 years out of college. I'd be upset if I was your son. He worked hard and you want to use the money that was meant for his future on your house and other siblings. It could absolutely go towards his grad school. It probably pushed your son a bit to work hard to make you proud. Your comment, even though this may not be what you meant, is pushing him out the door and saying that he is on his own. That is how I would feel. He's young and at a pivotal emotional time in his life. You kind of suck. And by the way, I'd ignore throwing around the word of entitled in other posts, a bit overused, and do these people even have kids? If you're truly proud of your kid and not a jerk, don't gaslight him after years of promising that money was put aside for him. And Prune Enemas says, probably unpopular opinion, but you're the arsehole. That money was intended for them. It should still be intended for them. Also, on the off chance that this isn't fake, don't make promises unless you intend to fully keep them. My mother promised to split some money with me if I provided her with the address of my deadbeat dad. When she got the money, she freaked out when I asked for my half. I love my mum, but I do not trust what she says anymore. Because of that, our relationship will always likely remain damaged. Now, what do you guys think of this situation? Who do you think is the arsehole in the situation and the arsehole in all of today's stories? If you have a moment to share your opinion. Thank you so much for your support that you show towards this channel and getting involved every single day. I've been absolutely loving what you've been hearing whilst you listen to these stories. It's one of my favorite things these last couple of days and really keeps me going. So please keep that continuing as well. Thank you so much for your love, your support and time. And I will see you absolute bloody legends in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.
I've been thinking that I can't let you go. Hey, can you